I want to talk about this. See, when I show a magic trick to a room of empirical scientists, they're often more excited than 3-year-old children. This is probably due to our strong beliefs in the scientific theories and laws, and when they're violated in such simple yet artistic ways, we cannot help but laugh and clap. But today, rather than showing off how well I can learn magic tricks from YouTube, I want to invite all of you and approach magic from a psychological perspective. So there are a few critical assumptions and psychological concepts that a magician usually manipulates. The first one being that human perceptual systems have natural limitations. So it may sound really straightforward, but it's the idea that we don't have X-ray visions or 360-degree viewing angles. So when a magician tells you he's putting the card into the middle of the deck, it may look something like this to you, but from another angle, it looks completely different. He knows exactly where the card is. So having this knowledge of perceptual limitations, magicians usually produce their sleight of hand with specific viewing angles for their audience. But sleight of hand alone cannot make a magic trick magical. So here, I want to give you a really quick live demonstration. So do you guys see the cards floating in the air? Not really. You probably didn't bring your magical glasses. But let me just quickly grab those for you. But well, we only have half a deck here. Why don't we just try to get the other half as well? Just bear with me for a second. Oops, there you go. So the only difference between how I put the first half of the deck and the second half is how I presented myself. So the message I want to get across is that the sleight of hand techniques across both conditions are essentially the same. You probably could tell that I palmed the cards from my left hand. But just simply adding the element of misdirecting your attention away from my left hand made you have this experience this illusion of me snatching cards out of thin air. So this is what magicians call the automatic attention control. So we tend to use the cues that are salient in the environment, for example, hand movements, to draw and capture your attention towards where we want them to be. So in real life, it could be something like someone playing loud music at the back of the room. You cannot help but the first moment you hear it, you turn around and look at that person. So this action is involuntary and automatic. And most of the misdirection of attention occurs here. But the good news is we still have control over some part of our attention. So for example, trying to understand my talk or trying to uncover my magic tricks, you're consciously putting in effort and controlling your attention to process the information that you want to focus on. So now do you think I can still fool you if you use your control processing the entire time and perform a magic trick? Are you guys ready? Okay, so I have a deck of cards in my right hand, empty left hand. My right's your left, my left's your right, but my top is your top. Now let's take the top card of eight of spades and put it into the middle of the deck. Now watch closely as I rotate it around the deck. Don't lose track of the card because if you do, you won't know where it is. But I'm a magician, I know where it is. But unfortunately, today, if I give a magic touch, the card won't appear back to the bottom. But again, we changed the card, so that's all you get. So I believe that 80%, 90% of you were using control processing the entire time. However, the twist is I overloaded you with a huge amount of information, but you only have a limited amount of attentional resources to spend on them. So now having those irrelevant information such as my right's your left or like where the card is, you're consciously processing those information and you may miss the most important and perhaps the only important part of the trick, which is my sleight of hand movement. So you're probably thinking magicians are all evil, they're playing with our minds. Hold on to that thought for a second. So remember at the beginning of the presentation, I materialized the card and I held it up and I said, today I want to talk about this. I didn't mean magic tricks, I meant that card. So now close your eyes for a moment and try to picture me standing here holding a card and try to remember what that card was. Everyone has the image. So who actually remember was the 10 of spades? See, we see a couple hands going up there. Good, 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 but wrong. The card was actually the 6 of hearts. So throughout the presentations, there were images of 10 of spades everywhere. So see, I didn't convince you. I didn't direct your attention towards my slides. You didn't pay attention to them, but your brain did. Your brain subconsciously picked up these images, and when you ask yourself, what was the card? Your brain quietly suggests to you, it has to be the 10 of spades. So I want to end my presentation with a quote that's intermixed with my thought. So the magic is only in what our brain perceives, how we stitch the patches of the universe together into one garment for us. So ladies and gentlemen, the magic is within you. Thank you.